Today, we're going to trace the absolutely wild, century-spanning journey of one of the world's most famous conspiracy theories, the Illuminati. We'll look at its really surprising birth back in the 18th century, all the way to its strange and, frankly, dangerous mutations. This is the story of how a powerful and totally false idea can grab hold of the world.
You know, when you hear the word Illuminati today, you're probably thinking of pop stars, secret symbols, that kind of stuff. But the original theory? It had nothing to do with any of that. It was actually born from the total chaos of the French Revolution. And here's the craziest part. For the people who first believed it, it actually made perfect, logical sense.
All right, so let's rewind the clock way back. We're in the 1790s. Europe is just reeling from revolution and all this uncertainty. And right at the center of the storm, there's one man with a very, very big book. Okay, meet Augustin Béraud. He's a French priest who had to flee the revolution and ended up in London. And in this massive 4-volume book he wrote, he makes this absolutely explosive claim. He says the French Revolution wasn't some spontaneous popular uprising. Oh no. He argued it was a meticulously planned conspiracy by Enlightenment thinkers, Freemasons, and this secret inner circle called the Illuminati, all of them working together to destroy monarchies and religion forever.
So this book makes its way across the Atlantic, and it just explodes in the young United States. I mean, prominent preachers and intellectuals start getting up and warning everybody that this same secret society that toppled France, well, now it had its sights set on America. This whole thing became known as the New England Illuminati scare.
Now, it is so easy for us to look back now and just write this off as, mass hysteria or paranoia. But what's really fascinating here is that, for the time, believing in the Illuminati wasn't necessarily irrational at all. It really just came down to how people understood what truth was.
I mean, forget about the internet or 24-hour news. In the 18th century, information traveled through what historians call Atlantic knowledge networks. And to put it simply, truth wasn't really about raw data, it was about who was telling you the information. If a respected gentleman, a well-known scholar, or some prestigious London magazine said something was true, you pretty much had every reason to believe it. The whole system was built on authority.
And this is exactly how the theory got its legs. See, reading American figures like the Reverend Jedediah Morse, they didn't just blindly accept it. First, they saw Barruel's work getting praised in respected British journals. Then, they saw it backed by a Scottish academic named John Robison. So these trusted sources, they validated the theory. And once that happened, Morse used his own authority to spread the word from the pulpit. And just like that, it cascaded down to the public as authenticated fact. So here's the crucial point. Given the information ecosystem they had in the 1790s, and given the very real fears about the French Revolution's violent spreading, accepting the Illuminati conspiracy was actually a logical step. The system that was designed to verify truth had, in this case, verified a complete falsehood. And then, for about 100 years, the whole theory just went quiet. Okay, now let's fast forward to the 1920s. The world is just getting over the trauma of World War I, the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia has happened, and there's a new wave of fear sweeping the globe. And in this incredibly volatile climate, an old conspiracy is about to be reborn, but this time with a terrifying new twist. Now take a look at this quote, and more importantly, the source. Yeah, that's right, Winston Churchill. In an article from 1920, Churchill himself actually praised a writer for exposing the worldwide conspiracy behind the French Revolution. So who was this writer he was praising? A woman named Nesta Helen Webster. Nesta Webster was an English author, came from an upper-class background, and she had this deep fascination with the French Revolution. She stumbles upon Barruel's century-old theory and has this light bulb moment. She realizes it could be totally repackaged for a new era of anxieties, the fear of communism, and the rising poison of anti-Semitism.
And you can see the mutation perfectly right here. Where Barruel blamed philosophers, Webster blamed what she called a Judeo-Masonic conspiracy. Where Barruel feared the end of monarchy, Webster feared global communism. And, most critically, she used a disgusting piece of propaganda as her evidence, the notoriously fraudulent text, The Protocols of the Elders of Zion. She didn't just revive the theory, she poisoned it.
Now, you might think, okay, Webster was operating on the political fringes, she even got involved with British fascist groups. But her ideas, well, they did not stay on the fringe. They ended up being incredibly influential, especially once they made their way across the Atlantic.
Her books essentially became foundational texts for major anti-communist movements in the United States in the 20th century. The John Birch Society, a huge conservative advocacy group during the Cold War, drew heavily on her work. Her blending of the Illuminati with a secret global plot became a kind of blueprint for countless other conspiracy theories that followed, with echoes even in militia movements decades later. So, after this whole wild, century-spanning story, what's the big takeaway? You see, this was never just about one strange theory. It's actually a really powerful case study in the mechanics of belief itself. This table really just lays it all out. In both eras, the theory took off by tapping into a deep-seated fear. First, it was revolution. Then it was communism. In both cases, it was spread by people or texts that were seen as authoritative, whether that was respected clergy in the 1790s or forged documents presented as fact in the 1920s. The idea just adapted to the fears and the media of its time. Ultimately, what the Illuminati theory teaches us is that truth isn't some fixed point out there. It's something we construct. Our fears create a demand for explanations. We turn to authorities we trust to give us those explanations. And the information networks we live inside, they determine which explanations we even get to see. That was true in the 1790s, and it is definitely true today. So this leaves us with a final, really crucial question. The people who believed this stuff, they weren't fools. They were often responding logically to the information they were given by their most trusted sources. So we kind of have to ask ourselves, who are our trusted sources today? What are our deepest fears? And what powerful ideas might they be making seem undeniably true to us right now?